Hey guys, welcome back. We had another episode of F Around and Find Out with Nintendo related stuff. Whether it is releasing things early, leaking documents, anything of the sort, or in this instance, hacking or providing devices to allow people to circumvent the security features that are in play to prevent people from bootleg games, ROMs, etc. We got another. This is super interesting, and I didn't think it was even possible in any way for a sentence like this. But let's take a read through. We'll let the article show us. This is on torrentfreak.com, and it is written by Ernesto Vander Sar. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Ernesto. If not, my apologies. Article time. Last year, a U.S. federal court handed a 40-month prison sentence to Gary Bowser. Pretty funny that his name is Bowser. Not the same Bowser as the CEO of Nintendo. That's a different Bowser. The Canadian pleaded guilty to part of the Nintendo hacking group Team Executor, and now served his time. In part due to his good behavior, Bowser got an early release from federal prison. He's now at the processing center preparing for his return to Canada. So interesting enough, and I know, guys, this is not necessarily a Nintendo channel. It's not necessarily a video game channel, but I think this is an important comparison or important thing to look at in terms of when we're referencing anything on the Pokemon trading card game end of things, with people stealing things, with people producing counterfeits. Not too far off from what we're seeing here. So that's why I say I wouldn't be surprised if someone that's selling proxies, creating counterfeits, falsifying stamps on stuff like this. All it takes is Nintendo to crack down, or the Pokemon company to crack down on it. I think we've seen it a little bit more now recently with the stolen Fusion Strike stuff, where someone actually got prosecuted, where in the past, typically, as far as I can tell, most people just got fired. They had to turn the stuff in. When it gets to a certain extent, a certain dollar value, they're not going to mess around. All right. In the fall of 2020, the U.S. government indicted 3 members of the infamous Team Executor group, the masterminds behind various Nintendo hacks. The group allegedly made millions of dollars through its operation, which effectively shut down shortly after the criminal proceedings started. The authorities arrested Canadian Gary Bowser in the Dominican Republic, and Frenchman Max Luarn was detained in Tanzania. The latter, a notorious hacker, miraculously managed to avoid extradition to the United States. The same can't be said for Bowser. 40 months prison for a salesperson. So I guess that was his role. There were previous articles, but this is sort of an update on what happened and what the prosecution, or what the penalty has been or will be now that he's out. As the purported salesperson of Team Executor, it's got to be Executor, right? Executor? Is it a Pokemon play? Is it like Executor? I guess no, they'd have like an O or something. Bowser wasn't a leading figure in the operation. Most people knew him as Gary OPA, the operator of Max Console, a website that regularly reviewed Team Executor hardware and other hacking tools. Financially, Bowser's role was also rather limited. From all the millions of dollars in revenue that were generated by Team Executor, Bowser was paid only $500 to $1,000 a month. His attorney previously said he didn't deny involvement, however. Following his arrest, Bowser was deported to the United States, where he pled guilty. Last February, Bowser was sentenced to 40 months in prison for his role in the criminal enterprise. The sentence is significant, but lower than the 5-year prison term the government had requested. So if anyone I don't know if anyone knows the details. I don't know the details exactly, but If they weren't actually providing any of the, there's got to be a weird fine line there where if they're not providing any of the ROMs, but they're providing the ability to use the ROMs, does that end up being like a gray area where they get away with it? Or if they're not charging for the service, I guess, maybe. But it seems not that way. It seems, regardless of how much they kind of maybe wanted to hide the fact, what they were doing with the product, hard to say. During sentencing, Judge Lasnik said that it was important to send a message, but agreed that a reduction was warranted as Bowser played the smallest role of the three defendants. Early release. Bowser was later incarcerated at Federal Detention Center SeaTac in Seattle. A few weeks ago, his attorney put in a request for an early release, citing the time credits earned by his client to date. That request was denied as a moot earlier this month, as the Bureau of Prisons had pushed Bowser's release date forward. In a recent video interview with Nick Moses, Bowser explains that he was released from federal prison on March 28th. He is currently in processing at the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma, Washington, to prepare for his return to Canada. Most of the paperwork has been arranged, and Bowser expects to travel to Canada in roughly a week with a newly issued passport in his pocket. Initially, the 50-plus-year-old feared that he would be left stranded at the border, but ICE agreed to send him to Toronto instead. Because of my medical condition, my age, and the fact, we get quotations here, and the fact that I was born in Canada and have family back in Toronto, ICE is working on getting me back directly to Toronto, Bowser says, adding that the method of transportation remains unclear. $10 million damages, $175 paid. For the time being, the Northwest Detention Center already offers much more freedom. Bowser is no longer restricted to a cell, but stays in a dorm, has more flexibility, access to decent coffee, and better food options than at the federal prison. What his life will look like in Canada remains uncertain. However, in federal prison, Bowser has shown that he doesn't shy away from putting in work and helping other people in need. Aside from his prison job, he spent several nightly hours on suicide watch. Oh, okay. He wasn't on suicide watch. He was the watcher, not the watchee. Okay, I read that a little bit wrong there. The prison job in some meager income, a large part of which went to pay for the outstanding restitution he has to pay, which is $14.5 million in total, which seems like a pretty ridiculous number. Thus far, less than $200 has been paid off. We got a quotation here. I've been making payments of $25 per month, which they've been taking from my income because I had a job in federal prison. So far, I paid $175, Bowser tells Nick Moses. If Bowser manages to find a stable source of income in Canada, Nintendo will get a chunk of that as well. As part of a consent judgment, he agreed to pay $10 million to Nintendo, which is the main restitution priority. We got another quote here. The agreement with them is that the maximum they can take is 25 to 30% of your gross monthly income, and I have up to 6 months before I have to start making payments, Bowser notes. So this is like a weird thing. Like clearly they're not getting anywhere close. So it seems like it's a kind of like a flex, and this is what we can do to you. 25 to 30% of your gross income, monthly income, is pretty wild. That's pretty high. I mean, it's not going to get anywhere close to 10 million. We have an old man with health problems, it seems. So again, and then this is a weird thing too, because does he just start not working at that point? Can they take, if he's on disability, or if he's on welfare or anything like that? Like, do they get any of that, or is it only income? You would think it would have to be if he makes over a certain amount, but then at the same time he can game the system and maybe do not make any more than that amount, so that he doesn't have to pay in. It's a weird thing that I didn't even know existed, that you could end up having to pay a percentage of. It's like child support for Nintendo support. weird nonetheless. And I don't know, maybe a lot of that money that was kind of, did he stash it somewhere? Or was the money seized? And now he doesn't have the funds that he was originally making, or he doesn't have any of those assets that he maybe acquired at that point in time. And you would think that maybe like they would work towards more of a deal to get the funds back from the 3 individuals. The money that was made there, the millions of dollars apparently that was made there, instead of kind of just lopping off a percentage of whatever his income is going to be. Who knows? And then like if he's doing stuff under the table, I guess maybe they don't get a percentage of that. Whether or not, like, is that breaching any sort of agreement or law here? I don't know. I have no idea. It's weird. The whole thing is weird, but it's ridiculous. And this is the kind of thing that like has happened Nintendo wise, where people get sued, leaking things. If they're here where they're kind of, promoting or selling a way to navigate around purchasing Nintendo games, I guess that falls in under there too. So again, wouldn't surprise me if somewhat in the near future, anyone that's making proxies or whatever, something like that, not proxies that like someone just wants to play, but if somebody's selling proxies that are trying to be the real thing, them getting in a lot of trouble for that. All right. At that rate, it is unlikely that Nintendo will ever see the full amount, as I mentioned, I guess. Or put differently, Bowser will carry the financial consequences of his team executor involvement for the rest of his life. I think that's probably pretty safe to say. So weird punishment and agreement, but I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining the Discord. Come on in there, hang out. Bye.